Guys, how's it going? It's Al. Draftkings week 3 is one day away. Welcome to it. Kickoff tomorrow morning. We're releasing this video on Saturday morning. This is my 5 players under 5 for NFL DFS on Draftkings in week 3. We're going to take a look at 5 players who project at under 5%. Now, there's rules for this, right? Like, I can't just say, well, this guy's going to be under 5%. And obviously, percentages can change by the time lineups lock. If a player that I mentioned has somebody in front of them, all of a sudden it's out of the lineup, and now they're going to inflate the percent that's going to be on them on Sunday morning. That's not my fault. So by the time that I isolated the 5 players that I want for this lineup, I looked on all 4 of the sites that are linked right down below. EstablishTheRun.com, FantasyLabs.com, rotogrinders, and Daily Roto. And I kind of cross-reference, and to me, for a player to be on this video, they have to be under 5% projected on at least 3 of the sites. So everybody on this video is projected at under 5% on 3 sites right now. That does not mean that they're going to be under 5% by Sunday morning. Don't at me if somebody is 7.5% in the Millie Maker on Sunday. And also take under consideration, please, that if you don't want to play these guys or you don't like the plays, fine. Play someone else then. I won't be offended. I don't do these videos to be right on the internet. I do these videos because I think that they're good content. I like you guys to understand the way that I think about things and how I approach GPPs and tournaments to put you in a better position to try and win something every single week of daily fantasy. If you find somebody else under 5% that you like better, get after that dude, and I hope that you win, because if I don't win a GPP, I hope that one of you guys does. So drop a like on the video. Let's see if we can't get more than 1,000 likes on this video. Should be pretty easy with the amount of views that we've been getting the first 2 weeks that we produced this one. Thank you guys very much for all the kindness, all the replies, and everything else that you've done so far. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure that you ring the notifications bell, because I got new videos coming out 7 days a week during NFL on this channel alone. Leave me a reply down below. Let me know who your low percent guy is that I did not mention, and let's hit the video.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League has been bumped up to 3,500 individuals. We are 2,300 spots filled, leaving us 1,200 spots. See, quick math. It's not just there for show on the thumbnail. Like, we actually can do a little bit of math in this channel, at least ballparking, right? You got to get in there. $10, 3 max. Can only enter 3 times. No rake at all. Really great prize arc in terms of the payouts. Pays out a bunch of different people in it. Good, like 20 to 25% of the field gets paid. And like 10% of the prize pool goes to first place. So really solid payout arc here. Love it, and absolutely no rake. Why waste your money on rake when you don't have to? Let's get to the first player here that we got to talk about, and it is Nick Chubb. 5-box possible running back. I do not like the way that they utilized him last week, only running him 11 times, but one of the most efficient runners that there is in the league. Great offensive line, defensive line matchup in this spot. The Browns' run block win rate is 11th in the league. And the Bears, who is reputedly a good defense, through 2 weeks have had a 28% win, they're 28th in the league in terms of win percentage against running plays. So that should lead us to a situation where Nick Chubb is in a great spot to bust off one of those big runs that he seems to do every single week. At 7,600, he is not going to be played. Don't know the situation with Dalvin Cook. Right now, he is going to be the preferred high dollar play unless he is out for this weekend, a situation you're going to have to monitor all the way up until lock, or at least the Shefty bombs that come out on Saturday night. But Nick Chubb is my first play that projects at well under 5%, like 3%, 2% on most of the sites that are out there, to give you an opportunity to player that could score multiple touchdowns anytime that they take the field. Last week, 3 rushing touchdowns for the Browns and 1 pass play that went to a wide receiver. 4 rushing touchdowns. He only had 1 of them. Multiple touchdown expectation every time he takes the field. If he gets you 15 to 20 touches this week, 100-yard bonus, certainly on the table, especially with those run blocking win rate metrics and how they pertain to one another. Our next player, another running back, Damien Harris from the New England Patriots, playing at least 40% of the snaps in both games. Ramondre Stevenson was inactive. last week. They just a healthy scratch in that spot. We have another good position here for him versus New Orleans, who has just been hemorrhaging yards to opposing running backs for the first 2 weeks of this season at only 5,600, which really is a very populated part of the salary tree on DraftKings this week. Like if we go to running back and we kind of look down in here, right? So like Barkley at 65, going to be very popular. Chris Carson against Minnesota, high offensive environment, going to be very popular. Joe Mixon, 63. Montgomery against the Browns, probably not going to be super popular, but 61. Madison, if Cook is out, might be the highest played running back on the slate. Swift is going to be always somebody that people click because of how involved he is in the passing game. Tyson Williams as well was, we'll see. He was going to be somebody that I was going to use in 5 under 5 this week. I think he's going to be another really good player, especially considering how good Baltimore is at run blocking and Detroit is not. But he projects to be a little bit higher, which left me on Damien Williams, who projected for a little bit lower because of the low total in that game and team total in that game. But speaking of the Ravens, Marquise Brown. Dude has been smashing since like the second half of last year and through the first 2 weeks of this year. 16 targets. The problem with Marquise Brown, his rookie year and the first half, let's say, of last year was like there was a very realistic expectation that he would get like 3, 4, or 5 targets in a game. Well, those days are gone. Like 8 targets or 80 plus yards or a touchdown in like all of his last 10 games. I like those odds. Still has the big splash ability, as you saw with a 42-yard reception in week 2, a 29-yard reception in week 1. It just comes down to, can Lamar connect with him on the deep ball? Is Lamar a great quarterback, but not really the most accurate on deep balls? He misses Marquise a lot, but like Marquise keeps getting open and they keep throwing him the ball. When they connect once or twice in a game, Marquise can be a guy who's going to completely blow the roof off of a slate. Projects at under 5% on pretty much every site right now because of his price, because of the fact that people think that, well, this is the Tom Brady situation from Top Stacks last week, right? Where Baltimore is what, like a 9-point favorite or something massive and ridiculous like that? Where, well, they're just going to run the ball and they're going to be like, if you have a team total of like 29 or 30 points, that's a lot of touchdowns. And if Marquise walks out of there with 1 or maybe 2, do one long one and like 8 targets, all of a sudden he's smashing and turns for a very low percentage, easily paired with Lamar Jackson. Love him at this price. Love the volume that he's gotten for the last 10 or so games. The big splash ability is now buoyed by that floor of targets. Love Marquise Brown. And we're going to pivot over here to Julio Jones. And I can hear chat groaning already. They hated him last week. 8 targets, 128 yards. Should have had a touchdown because those feet were in. 6,500 is the thing that's really going to hold the percentage down on Julio Jones here in week 3. Considering that A.J. Brown is the exact same price. Going against Indianapolis, and I absolutely love this spot. A.J. Brown going to be the higher played play. A.J. Brown going to be the favored play. But this is not an optimal cash game lineup video. This is a leverage video. This is a take advantage of doing the things where the other people in the tournament are afraid or don't want to do the thing. And if Julio Jones projects at 3%, considering that he's got 14 targets through 2 weeks and now faces an Indy team that does project to A, have to worry about Derrick Henry, B, probably going to roll coverage over to the other side and Arthur Juan, that's going to leave Julio Jones in single coverage, which is just a death knell for any opposing defense. So give me Julio Jones at 2 or 3% in tournaments, either as a part of a secondary stack with somebody on Indy or a double stack if you're going to be stacking Tannehill and the Titans offense, and you want to get away from the high percentage it's going to be on Derrick Henry following his 50-plus point game. Austin Hooper, now look, when it comes to tight ends, pay up. Okay? We've said that, right? So, like, yes, pay up at tight end. You want to know why? Kelsey's really good. Waller's really good. Gronkowski does nothing but score 2 touchdowns in every single game for the last 3 games, apparently. Past performance is probably not going to be indicative of future performance. But TJ Hawkinson also pay up at tight end. Easiest way to differentiate yourself from the field is to smash tight end and to smash defense in the same lineup on the same Sunday because of the lower expectation for tight end scoring and the big gap between the number 1 tight end and the number 10 tight end, or the number 1 defense and the number 10 defense. But if we want to get an edge on the field for somebody who does project at a lower percentage, especially considering the vacated targets that now exist on this offense, Odell Beckham Jr. coming back, Landry going out. So now there's still targets to be had. They're having to get creative with where they go with the ball. And at 3,600 against Chicago, who has not been outstanding against opposing tight ends, either last year or through the first 2 games of this year, and you look at the amount of snaps, routes run, and targets per routes run, Austin Hooper looks extremely good. Targets per route run, 29.4%. Really solid rate of targets per routes run. Looking at a guy like Kyle Pitts is at 15.8 in terms of targets per routes run, and Kyle Pitts has run like the second most routes of any tight end in the league. He's out there in the route, but they don't target him a ton yet. Austin Hooper, when he's on the field and out in the route, they look his way because there just aren't that many amazing places to go. They got Donovan Jones people running a bunch of routes. They got Schwartz running a bunch of routes. They're trying to throw the ball to running backs. If they have to throw the ball 30 to 35 times, which Baker does tend to do from time to time, Austin Hooper is in an advantage spot this week for 3,600. I do think that he has a better chance to fall into the end zone and get you a 15-plus point game than many are willing to realize. So, like, let's say he's got like a 10 to a 12% chance of scoring 15 or more fantasy points. He is going to be 2% in tournaments, giving you an edge on the field versus his ceiling expectation. And that is the main thing that we're looking for. Median does not matter when it comes to tournaments. You need to attack ceiling. And if you're going to do it by differentiating in lineups, doing it with a cheaper tight end versus a more expensive tight end, where most of the percentage of rosters in tournaments is going to fall this week and many weeks, Austin Hooper gives you an opportunity to do just that. Thank you guys for watching. Look out for another video, and best of luck in week 3. Make sure you get in that listener league and jump in our Discord, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
He's a legend.